Hi everyone, I'm Troy Lambert of Plot Geek Academy, and today we're going to talk about book distribution, book aggregators, and we're going to talk about one specific aspect of that, and that is a royalty share model versus just a subscription model where you pay a certain amount per month to have your books distributed a variety of places. Okay, so with that, let's dive right in by looking at what a book aggregator is anyway. So book distribution can be kind of tricky if you're an indie author. You have a couple different choices. You can go through a book aggregator. There's a couple major ones that we're going to talk about. We'll do an in-depth comparison of these two services later, but we're going to talk about Draft2Digital and PublishDrive today. Now, primarily, we're going to focus on PublishDrive because we're going to talk about the subscription model, which is a little bit different. Many of the other book aggregators have a royalty share model. What that means is however many sales you make, the amount of sales that you make, they take around 10%. That's a pretty common cut that they take, and basically that just helps them cover their overhead and the costs that they have for setting up this software to distribute your book to all kinds of different retailers. Well, who are those retailers? Well, they're places like Kobo, Barnes & Noble, Google Play Store, Amazon, all of those different places. Now, you do have options. You can go to those places directly and upload your books. That's an option, and that is a fine option, and that works. The difference is, though, that takes you a tremendous amount of time, and then you have to keep track of several different accounts. If you do this through a book distributor, a book aggregator, like Draft2Digital, like PublishDrive, then you don't have to go to all those places. You upload your book one time, and you fill in the metadata, you fill in the description, all those things, and they distribute it to all these different places. Well, the deal with a lot of those places is some of them are places you've never heard of, or that you really can't just go and directly upload your book to. You have to go through someone to get your book into those places, including some of the library ebook places and things like that. And those things, even though you think, well, I'm not going to get a lot of sales from there, you're going to get some, and those little sales are going to add up. And we're going to talk about how those add up when we talk about doing a little bit of math here. Okay, so what we need to do is basically find out, like, how much does a subscription cost, and how much am I paying in royalties, and which of those is really going to cost me more in the long run. Okay, so we're going to take a look at PublishDrive really quick, because what we're going to do is we're going to use PublishDrive. We're going to use their annual pricing, so this is assuming that you're going to pay a year ahead of time. We're going to use their annual pricing versus a 10% royalty cut. And we're going to do some math. Now, there's other services out here that offer royalty cuts or offer a subscription rate, whatever the case may be. But once you've done the math in this particular case, then I think it'll be relatively easy for you to translate that math should you choose another service. But we're just going to focus on these two major ones that are the ones that most authors use, and we're going to look at what the differences between those two look like. So first of all, this is what the home page of PublishDrive looks like. If you're coming in for the first time, this is my free account. This is the one that we use to basically create a book blurb using AI, using their publisher assistant. In another video that we did, be sure to go back and check that out if you'd like to see more information about that. And that's one of the bonuses of a subscription with PublishDrive is you get access to these other tools that they have, which are actually pretty cool. They take some AI credits. You can watch that video and learn more about that. But what we're going to do is we're going to look at their pricing plans. Now, it's really simple. It's a simple way to start. Essentially, the starter plan is free. Okay, you get 35 distribution channel, you get one book, and you get basic access to distributing to stores. Okay, basic access, but you get that for free. So if this is your very first book and you only have one book, you can start with this plan, and hey, you get 0% revenue share. That means that all they're taking from you is basically nothing. They just take your information, they spread your book around, and you get 0% revenue share. Now, obviously, if you move up, you can see if you move up to the annual starter, then you're going to get 3 books. You still have 0% revenue share. You get 55 distribution channels, which is more distribution channels, obviously, and you get sales analytics and reports, marketing promotion tools, plus email and chat support. So basically, until you get to this point where you have about 3 books, you're not getting a lot of the extras and a lot of the support, but you're not paying anything at all. Okay? Now, and these distribution channels, we'll look at the details of these distribution channels here in just a moment, and we'll see exactly what that looks like. Okay? But we're going to assume $13.99 a month. Now, if you go with a monthly billing, it's about $16.99 a month. It's about $3 more. That's not going to make a huge difference in the math, and we're going to try to keep the math as simple as we possibly can in this particular case anyway, just to keep this as simple as possible. So let's say I have moved up from the free plan to the annual starter of $13.99 a month. Now you can see as you get higher up in plans, and you can even go beyond the 18 books to 100 books, all those kind of things. Like they have all kinds of plans, right? With PublishDrive. Okay, so you can go up to all of those different plans. But if we start even with we look at $13.99 a month for 3 books, but when you move up to 6 books, it's only $20.99 a month. So you're getting twice as many books, but for only about $7 more a month. So the math is going to be even more in your favor, and you'll see that in a minute. If you go to the annual plus, basically you get 18 books. Now, if you've got 18 books out there and you're not making enough on those books to cover $41.99 a month, then there's something wrong with your sales and marketing plan, right? And we'll talk about that in just a second here. So let's go back. Let's go back to the annual starter plan and assume $13.99 a month and assume I've got 3 books. Okay, well, what that means is $14 divided by 3 is about $4.35, we're going to say. Okay, so let's say it's $5. Let's round it up to $5. Let's round this up to 15 and say it's $5 per book. So you have to be making $5 per book per month in order to make this plan work, right, and break even. Okay, but what about a royalty share? Or a royalty share on these particular books, like $13.99 a month, that means you need to be making, basically $140 a month. We'll say $150 a month. Okay? Let's say that you need to be making that from 3 books. That means $50 from each book. That means about 1 ebook a day for each of them. Now that's counting in some advertising costs. More than likely, unless you're doing something wrong with your strategy, your pricing strategy, your marketing strategy, or stuff like that, then that you should be making at least a couple bucks from each book that you sell. But let's say that means that you're selling 2 of those books a day, right? So you're selling 60 books in a month, right, per title. So 180 books total in a month. And some of you are saying, hey, I'm a beginner author, and if I sold 180 books a month, I'd be a really happy person, right? But if you've got 3 books and you're doing the marketing and you're doing the business card and you're selling things, this is really a no-brainer. That's when you break even on that royalty, right? That 10% royalty at basically about $140 a month is when you start to break even. So that's where the breakdown is. So you say, well, maybe if I'm only selling 1 book a day, well, maybe this isn't the right plan for me. Except that you're setting yourself up in the future for having that 0% revenue share. And moving your books from one platform to another can be problematic. And I'm going to talk about that in just a minute, okay? But so this is what we're looking at. So basically what I'm saying is if you're making $150 a month from your books, then you're making enough that this starter plan actually makes more sense than a royalty plan. But you can see really quickly how this starts to make more sense when you're up to 6 books, right? And at 10% royalty, then at that point would be on $210 a month from 6 books. If you're not making $210 a month from 6 books, then, again, maybe you've got some other issues with your business plan and your pricing strategy and things like that, right? So for the most part, as soon as you get above a couple of books, PublishDrive makes a lot of sense because the subscription model is costing you less than the royalty model. The difference is you're seeing this money go out of your account. With the royalty model, you just never see the other money coming back into your account, right? So it just disappears on the front end and you don't even know the difference, right? But when you're starting to see those reports from your aggregator or whatever that are saying $150 a month is what you're making from your books, well, then pretty quickly, this model makes a lot more sense for you. Okay, so you're going to ask me, can I change my mind and move books that I have on another service over to something like PublishDrive or something with a subscription model? And the answer is not as simple as you might think. Because the answer is yes, you can. However, there's some things that you're going to have to do because your reviews are tied to that upload through that other service. The other difference is whether you've used your own ISBN or whether you've used one of theirs. So a lot of aggregates will offer you a free ISBN that's registered to them. So that your ISBN that you get from Draft2Digital, for example, is registered to Draft2Digital. It's not registered to your name. So if you pull that book from Draft2Digital to move it over to something like PublishDrive, essentially you're going to lose any reviews that you had on that ISBN, and you're going to be kind of starting over with sales history and stuff like that because you clearly can't use their ISBN somewhere else, right? It doesn't work that way for them. Okay, so that's part of what it depends on, and then whether you can get those transferred from one to another, from one ISBN to another. It also takes time for that ISBN to come down off that retailer, and then when you put it up again through PublishDrive on the same retailer, it takes it time. So there's a period of time usually when your book is either not available or you've got this kind of confusing thing where there's two versions of your book that are available on the same platform. You don't know what's happening. Anyway, that type of thing. So it's generally speaking, you want to take a book and when you're going to put it somewhere, you want to put it either on one aggregate or another. Okay. It used to be Smashwords was another aggregate. They've been since been purchased by Draft2Digital, so those are kind of one company. You can still upload books on Smashwords, but basically go through the Draft2Digital process. It's all the same. It's the same aggregate, the same thing, right? So, but you don't want to move books from one to the other because migrating people's books from Smashwords to Draft2Digital when that purchase happened was actually a pretty tricky process, and we'll talk about that in another video, another time, and what that looks like. So you really want to pick somewhere and stick with it. So it depends on what you're trying to do with your author career. If you plan long term that you want to sell a lot of books and you want to make this a career, the smart financial decision is to start with something that's a subscription service. And that in the long run, it's going to cost you less money, and in some cases, a lot less money for you to use. And then you have the access to some other tools and things that PublishDrive has that other things don't necessarily have. And again, we'll cover those in a completely different video. Either way, there's other things to look at related to the companies, the services, the various different places that they distribute to. So let's take a look at that really quick. Let's take a look at the details of this plan and the number of places that books actually get distributed. So we'll talk about, basically you have an ebook converter, a print converter when you move up, imprint management when you move up to the next level. Now, until you move up to Plus or Pro, you don't necessarily get a shared account. That's not really important to most people. Bulk importing books is not terribly important to most people, things like that. You get the AI chatbot, email support, priority support you obviously get if you're up at the Pro or the Premium level where you've got a whole bunch of different things. You integrate with written word media promotions, which has a lot of different promotion options. You have price promotions. You can actually run Amazon ads too, which is a pretty incredible bonus. You can even do that on the starter level. You can also run your review copies through PublishDrive as a part of your subscription, things like that. And then in-store featuring, you need to be up to the standard level to get featured in various different stores, things like that. So there's all kinds of different benefits that you're going to get by moving up in your plan as your business and as your writing business grows. Like some of these things you don't necessarily need when you are in that process of first starting out. Now also notice that this is audio and print, are also available in all these upper level plans. Once you get past the free plan, you can actually distribute your audiobooks, and you can do some print distribution as well. This is a way that you can get into places like Ingram Spark and stuff like that without having to go and create an account there. Just be aware that there are some tricks to that when it comes to distribution to independent bookstores and things like that. But it's still something that you can definitely do. Okay. Now, when you come over here, you can manage stores and imprints. And this is going to talk to you about the different stores that you can have that basically to distribute to. So this is even on the free plan. These are the places that they get distributed to. Now, part of this is like Chinese ebook stores. That's something that's a little unusual. Google Play Books. Google Play Books, not every aggregate distributes to Google Play Books currently. The fact that you can do it through PublishDrive is a big bonus. You should have your books on Google Play. That's a whole other thing that we can talk about. That's a whole different discussion for another day, but Google Play Books is actually a great place to be. Kobo Plus, the audio store, Storytel Audio, Amazon Print, Apple Books, Barnes & Noble, Bookmate, tons of these different places. Hoopla, Overdrive, which is for libraries, Repro India, the German network, things like that, Biblioteca, China Print, if you're doing print as well, Findaway for audio, Google Play Audio, Kobo Audio, Lazy Joy Audio, just all kinds of places. Storytel is another up-and-coming audio platform. So just all kinds of places where your books can be distributed. Okay. Now, this list is similar to other aggregates as well. Some of them do not have all of these stores. Some of them do. Some of them have slightly different ones. But the point is that you're going to make it to a lot of different markets that you wouldn't necessarily reach as an individual. You wouldn't go and create an account there and reach those different places. So anyway, this is what the distribution looks like. This is what the pricing model looks like. And this is what it looks like when we start to compare royalties versus a subscription model. So I hope that using this video, you can make a more informed decision about your own business and what kind of a model it is that you want to use going forward. As we said, for us, we recommend the subscription model. It makes a lot of sense if you're planning on selling a lot of books. Anyway, thanks for joining us, and thanks to PublishDrive for letting us play around in their software. And we'll see you all next time. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button, hit that notifications bell so you don't miss a single video that we release. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you next time.